Yeah, my name is Keith Hoyer, and I've been an MBI consultant for 5 years and a teacher here at Belt High School for 18 years. And with me today, I have two students, they're both seniors, Kieran Bergstrom, and she is the president of our youth leadership group, and Hunter Croft, who also served on our focus group and is a senior leader with our student council. I'll go ahead and let them tell a little bit about themselves. Go ahead, Kieran.
Like Mr. Hoyer said, I'm a senior here at Belt, and I'm president of youth leadership, and I'm involved in a bunch of different things academically, like DECA and Student Senate and National Honor Society, and also I'm on all the sports teams, basketball and volleyball and golf. Yep, Hunter?
Hi, I'm Hunter Croft. I'm part of the student council and whatnot, and I'm into sports, football, track, and wrestling. A huge leader in the school with students, so yeah.
Well, with that, we'll get started. And I know we're limited on time. We're going to talk about the My Voice survey and how Belt High School used the survey and the results from the focus groups to improve our school climate. And for those that don't know, the My Voice survey, it's a 69-item instrument. It measures conditions that support self-worth, active engagement, and purpose in schools. Dr. Russ Qualia, the designer of the My Voice survey, has said that while schools do a good job of asking students what they know in school, we need to do a better job of asking students what they think and believe about their school. And that was kind of the purpose of why we started taking the survey. Our results, then, we've taken the results and we've helped mesh that with our MBI group and to improve school climate and also student aspirations. We've been giving the My Voice survey for 4 years, and we're going to share some data with you on those 4 years. All of our high school students, or actually through 12 students, take the survey. We're just going to show high school data today. The results are at times alarming. When we first took the survey, one of the things on our survey was school is friendly and welcoming, and I think it was only like 45% of our students thought the school is friendly and welcoming. Immediately, we want to form a committee and, panic, thinking that we thought, yeah, they're a really good school, and then only 40-some% of our students thought that the school is friendly and welcoming. Just to understand that these are perceptions, but if they are the students' perceptions, then they become reality. And so that's why we wanted to ask the students why they didn't think the school was friendly and welcoming. And that was really interesting. It was totally different than any committee of teachers that could come up with that answer. And in fact, in that case, 4 years ago, we had one teacher who went say hi to the girls, why they said it was not friendly and welcoming. And then we didn't play softball first day of the year. We said it wasn't friendly. Very interesting. The students' perceptions, they shape what we think and how we act in our school, and so we provide an accurate picture of our school's climate and culture. The fact of the matter is that the reality is really complex, and so to truly understand it, sorry about that, we just had our class end. We need to hear the various points of view from other realities. And so in order to learn whether adults have correctly understood what students are saying, we conducted our focus groups. And only when you verify that you have understood correctly can you decide the actions to take to improve the conditions that will affect student aspirations. Many schools, by the way, want to interpret their results by comparing to national or state aggregates. While this can be interesting, it's not always helpful, and the most illuminating and helpful comparisons are the internal ones. The process that we used is we administered the survey to all the students 6 through 12, and then we selected focus groups. And the focus groups, how we selected those was a random draw from each of the classes. We separated boys and girls. And then we administered the focus groups based on questions that and we're going to go over how we determined the questions in just a second. But from that data, then we to our SAS data that the staff takes, and that's the school assessment survey, our academic achievement set. In the set, we had an independent person from OPI come in and evaluate our school. What we did to set up the My Voice focus groups is we had to determine, because there's no way we could ask all 69 questions to all the students, and we're going to go through the questions or the survey questions that we picked for this particular year. We compared our data, males to females, and if there was a large discrepancy, we wanted to know why. We also did grade level trends from our freshmen to our seniors, and we compared our different statements in condition to condition. We also tried to compare it to what our belief statements were with both MBI and our school. So we asked, what do boys in school say as compared to girls? Was there a discrepancy? What accounts for it? Is the gap acceptable? What is happening from grade level to grade level? Are older students more positive for having been at the school longer or more negative? We also compared our survey results to our mission statement and our core beliefs. Does our school profess, it was that sense of community was a big one for our school because we are a rural school. And how does that compare with the students say about the condition of belonging? And does our mission statement expose the importance of actively engaging in the learning process? Sorry about that. That should be the last interruption. And then also we wanted to make sure, that our core beliefs highlight the value of teaching students to be productive citizens. Hunter actually tried to turn that down. I'm sorry, our announcement. Okay, the first one you should see on your screen is our sense of belonging. And for those who haven't gone through the Mickey Corso training, we're just going to give a brief recap of what belonging means in school. And so Mickey Corso, of course, does an amazing job of outlining the 8 aspirations. Belonging means being a valued member of a community while still maintaining one's individuality. Belonging creates an atmosphere that welcomes and connects all students to school, including their academic work and the people with whom they interact. A sense of belonging is a necessary condition for a student's sense of well-being and social engagement. The experience of belonging is also essential to viewing oneself as and able. The condition of belonging increases intrinsic motivation because it fosters self-confidence and investment in the as a teacher, you have the opportunity to establish a belonging in your school, one that promotes your students' sense of well-being, connection, and confidence. And we're going to talk a lot about belonging. And so I'm going to turn this over to Hunter right now because he had some important things to say. By the way, on your screen were the 3 questions that we chose to ask in our focus groups this particular year. And we also put on there our data from 2010 through this current year. Go ahead, Hunter.
One thing that's made a big difference in our school for belonging is teachers make an effort to get to know me. Every morning the principal gets on the announcements and he makes a note to tell everybody how the sports did, what's on the agenda for the day, what's to go on throughout the week, and to announce the key things that the students are doing in the school. And once he does this, people around the community actually know what everybody's doing, how they did that weekend in sports and everything, and it's really helped out the school, and it makes everybody know that they belong.
And also, with the part of when the girls and boys split up in the focus groups, the girls came to the conclusion that since we're successful in both our academics and athletics, that's what brings out the numbers and percentages in those and makes us proud of our school because we're all really well-rounded and are able to just really be proud of what we're doing as a school.
So from our My Voice survey results, after we did our first focus, we took our data, and you'll see we put some arrows throughout it, and those were things that we really did focus on as a staff. And so, like, I am proud of my school. We've taken that from 47% to 74%, in part because we've identified that as an area of need. And so that particular question has been on our focus for 4 consecutive years, and we're really working to try to get that, obviously, to that ideal of one. The other ones is the teachers make an effort to get to know me. We've done a couple different little things as staff to try to make sure that we understand. We try to reach those students that are not necessarily in our class. The bullying was interesting. Our bullying numbers are actually up this year. They had fallen for 2 consecutive years, and then they were up. But we had an incident this fall with some cyberbullying. But we take that pretty seriously because when we gave the survey this fall, we saw that there was an issue with bullying. And so we addressed that school-wide. We divided up the girls and the boys. We did an incident lesson geared towards addressing the cyberbullying, the problem that
I think we made sure that we took something that we found that was an issue in the school and made sure to do something about it rather than just see that it was a problem and put it to the side.
The next one is heroes. And the heroes, interesting, well, I guess we'll explain heroes for those people who haven't done the My Voice yet. Heroes are just the everyday people, the colleagues, the family, the friends in our lives who inspire us to excel and positively change attitudes and lifestyles. Heroes are individuals we can connect with, those who have a positive influence on us, and who listen to and value our ideas. We can all benefit from having heroes in our lives because having a hero builds trust with others and a belief in ourselves. And we did an activity 3 years ago when we saw that only 40% of our students respected teachers. We had an issue of kids identifying teachers that they could relate to. And so we did an activity that we wanted each of our students to make sure that they had someone in our school that they could call a hero. We identified those qualities that a person possesses that would be a hero to you. And then we tried to name your hero. In my case, my hero is Joe Montana. But after looking at my circle, I realized that Joe was not there for me. He wasn't there at the end of a hard day asking me, hey, Keith, how's everything going? You all right, buddy? And so Joe Montana is truly not my hero. It'd be people in my everyday life that do make a difference. And so that was a great activity that we did with the kids so they could identify someone in our school. And through that, we've actually increased our respect. Our respect, too, we talk about this a lot with our staff, and we did staff building exercises with that one. And as you can see, we've actually fallen off on those. And Hunter, maybe we can talk about that a little bit. When we were talking earlier, we quit doing those staff training, and maybe we aren't doing the modeling of respect like we did. About that, Hunter?
Yeah, the key thing is for teachers to readdress the model of respect to the students. Don't play favorites or anything like that. Make sure you're being very fair and equal to all the students in school. One thing we noticed is that girls do tend to get more leniency in some areas than boys, and especially when it comes to sports too. Some teachers are prone to give the sports more stuff and let them off. But the teachers readdress the respect and model it to the students will realize that they are giving the best effort to make the school fair.
Do you have anything, Kieran, on that?
I think I'll just agree with Hunter how he says that the girls, I notice it. I'm on the better side of it, I guess, but still I notice the favoriting that teachers tend to do, and it's really not fair. So if they just try and realize that they do it rather than just shake their heads saying, no, they don't, then I think it'll be resolved.
It's funny, we talked about this one, the respect issue. One of the things that came up in the boys' focus is that they played favorites with the athletes, whatever. none of the teachers, by the way, we discussed this as teachers, none of the teachers wake up in the morning and say they're going to favor the athletes or favor girls over boys. But that's the student's perception, is that that is happening. We just so happen that we're really successful right now in athletics. And so if the perception is that the athletes get favored. Whether or not that's reality or not, it doesn't matter because that's the perception. And in this case, their perceptions become reality. We had a good conversation. The students respect each other. We've worked hard on that with our anti-bullying campaign and through our MBI. One of the things I do want to say on that is we believe firmly that our universals, because we have universals in effect, it has made a greater difference with our aspiration training. I think schools that have those universals in effect or in place are far more likely to be successful with the aspiration training. And our respect with students respect each other. We've dropped the last 2 years, but in part because we've really focused on that area with conjunction with our universal. The next one, a sense of accomplishment. A sense of accomplishment, it recognizes the effort or perseverance and citizenship as signs of a person's success. Educators have traditionally used a narrow view of accomplishment that refers to academic achievement, innate ability, or who's the best in class. The condition of sense of accomplishment, however, is viewed in terms of personal growth and effort, and not just through measurable outcomes, countable successes. And on this one, we really tried to, the students really spoke up about the relevance to ask the why we're learning something. And either one of you want to talk about that? Students.
Students just like, we all are kind of confused sometimes about why we learn the things we do in our classes. We just don't see the relevancy of it and how we're going to use that in the rest of our lives if this school is supposed to be preparing us for the future. So it's almost like we just want the teachers to communicate with us about what the next lesson is going to be and how it's going to actually benefit us rather than have us just do busy work in the classroom, because a lot of us do feel like a lot of it is busy work rather than something that we're all going to benefit from.
And that's a good point. And we've talked about that a lot. That sense of accomplishment, too, we've really worked with our session 4 of MBI training. One of the things are the grade 8 classroom model. And those grade 8 really reinforce the classroom as a whole, trying to get students to be successful or having opportunity to respond or giving choice. And so we've worked hard as a staff, and in part that reflects our data, the My Voice. The next one is fun and excitement. And fun and excitement is one that our principal has personally taken to heart, and we've discussed this at every month's MBI meeting and also with our staff meeting. And so the condition of fun and excitement is characterized by students who are inspired to learn. It's not sitting around in your class singing kumbaya. They are actively engaged and involved in their schoolwork. Students who exhibit that fun and excitement are self-confident, curious, and prepared, and they're willing to meet the challenges of the day. And to foster this condition, we've provided students with opportunities as well as meaningful challenges, and that's where that word meaningful comes back in that Kieran and just talked about. And then make sure that we are connecting it to their individual interests. And we've done a lot of work with the relevancy portion of the grade 8. We've gotten that from the University of Missouri. The procedures, the opportunity to respond, the choice, the feedback, and all those in active supervision have really helped us in this area. Our principal took it upon himself, though, to make sure we improved our numbers, because whether you enjoy being at school or teachers enjoy working with students, we needed to raise that. Teachers make school an exciting place to learn. You know, we were at 24%, 2010, 2011. And our principal kind of took offense to that, and we've had extensive training in that area, and it kind of coincided with our grade 8 training through the Montana Bee. And we've doubled that. We're up to 49%, and that's still too low, but it's something that we are working. You were going to talk about what's a fun.
Yeah, we have a lot of different varieties of classes, and a lot of them that bring out like the exciting parts is like our government class. We don't just sit at the desk and learn about Montana government and things like that. We learn about so many different varieties of things, and instead of just taking notes and taking a test, do different ways of learning things like research and PowerPoints and actually making it relevant to us and our life, like how we can relate to it also. And so it's not just the day-to-day lecture and testing. It's actually getting into the lessons and for ourselves, like in a fun way.
And teachers really taking it upon themselves to make the learning environment kind of hands-on instead of out of a textbook. They like to break it down. Some lessons, like we've done in government on foreign policy and that, the teacher will actually he'll explain it through various ways that aren't like on the board or anything like that, but yet he'll explain it kind of on a lower level that you'll understand. And we've gone through many things in like media class and that, and we go out and do stuff around the school and around the community, and we film stuff, and it's able to teach us things. And
we've had lots of conversation with the staff, and we say let's assume that they have the first 3 down, that they belong and they have a hero and a sense of accomplishment. But we still need to make class, and that was a crucial part to getting kids to want to learn, was you have to make it interesting. And it doesn't mean kids, in kumbaya or laughing or rolling around on the floor. It has more to do with students who are actively engaged and kids that are engaged, so engaged that they maybe lose track of time or space. And so that's been a real crucial part. And that's how the My Boys survey, we've taken that information, we've done our focus groups, because the kids said, and then we've actually tried to use it to improve our school climate. The next one is the curiosity and creativity. And the condition of curiosity and creativity is characterized by inquisitiveness and eagerness, a strong desire to learn new things, and a longing to satisfy the mind and discovery. And curiosity triggers students to ask why, while creativity gives them the initiative to ask why not. The intensity of the condition of curiosity and creativity tends to diminish over time due to habitual effects of the environment. And we realize that now that once they get to high school, they've been told that they probably can't be an astronaut or they can't be an NFL player. And so we try to come up with ways to sustain student motivation with paying attention to the learning environment and promote the questioning and creative activity. It's like the little kid that when they were in kindergarten and they colored the sky all different colors. Well, by the time they hit 4th grade, the sky's supposed to be blue, and so they might even be penalized for that creativity. So we've done a lot of work on that, not as much as we did with the fun and excitement or the spirit of adventure. Those are 2 that we really did signal out. But you guys have some stuff on the creativity classes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, talk about that.
Okay, well, since our school has gone to the Common Core route, a lot of the girls in the focus group, we agreed that this Common Core has kind of brought us to think that we're not really being prepped for life. Rather, we're just being prepped for how things are going to be at college, and we're learning how to actually get into college and pass rather than learning things that are going to be beneficial for the rest of our life. And that's just what we've noticed with this Common Core rather than what we had done before. And then also the material that we learn in school is not exactly what's benefiting us as much as the actual experiences that we have in high school as growing up and things like that. We believe that we're actually learning more from those experiences rather than the material that there is that we're learning.
And with the boys, we had a really interesting discussion on the value of grade, whether the grade was the most important thing or the learning process. It's funny because the kids who were probably the better kids the grade was more important than learning. The kids were there to get a grade to college and then learn what for their life career. And I don't know, that was kind of a wake up call for all of us. So we need to address that, and that's one of the things we're currently, because that came out of this. Do you have any? The next one is the spirit of adventure. And the spirit of adventure is another one of those, like fun and excitement, that we spent a lot of time working. The condition of spirit of adventure was characterized by the student's ability to take on positive, healthy challenges at school and with family and friends. Students experience the spirit of adventure when they tackle something new without the fear of failure or success. When schools promote healthy decision-making and healthy risk-taking, their students become more confident and resilient. Students with the spirit of adventure see life as full of opportunities worth exploring. And on that note, we talked extensively with our staff, and especially our English teacher. Each month, he talks about how we can make or push kids to do better academically, and what we need to do as teachers to foster academic. And we've tried to correlate our academic improvement scores with the My Voice, and this one is where it parallels. Our spirit of adventure, or those things like I push to do better academically, the percentage of increase has, with our academic achievement on the CRT, is mirrored increase on our student My Voice survey. And so that was a real positive sign this year when we looked at both of those data pieces. Do you guys have any spirit?
Something that could help out with students wanting to get good grades is recognition. In sports, you have the crowd, which makes you feel good and everything, and other activities like drama and that, again, the audience, you feel good. If there could be something that could come along the lines of making you get recognized for getting good grades and being good at your work ethic and being determined to strive, that would be nice.
And also, with all of these percentages, it's really outstanding that our score is so high. But if you notice the gender differences, a lot of the girls in the focus group paid attention to that and think it's just because the relationships that girls and teachers have compared to the relationships that boys and teachers have, they just are a little bit varied. And so then that reflects in the percentages that the males and females have right there. And the girls do think that the amount of effort put forth by girls compared to boys could be that reason for it, but still the numbers are really high, and it's nothing to like see as a problem. It's just we did notice the difference between the two genders. Still, it's really high.
And we want to make learning, and our English teacher has been the one that's kind of headed this up, as to make basketball is real popular, wrestling's real popular, football. So we've done well in those athletic areas, but to make it really cool to get A's or cool to get good grades. Both the students in here are athletically gifted, but then they also are academically gifted, and that's really helped. In fact, later on, I think Hunter's going to talk about one of the suggestions after the focus group, and it was doing a mentoring program where the older kids pair up with younger kids and tell them exactly what it means to be a Husky, to go to school at Belt. We'll talk about that in a minute. The next data piece we had was leadership and responsibility. And of course, the condition of leadership and responsibility means students are able to express their ideas and are willing to accept consequences for their actions. It cultivates accountability for the classroom environment and school community. Schools that promote the condition expect students to be good decision makers. They provide legitimate decision-making opportunities, student input, and expect students to be accountable for their actions and words. Students are trusted to make right decisions and are recognized. And this, when we talked about this one, our science teacher talked about doing science labs. Kids always want to do labs or hands-on activities, but what she explained to them is with leadership comes responsibility. You can do labs, but when we start messing around in the lab, then we no longer do those responsibility. And some of the schools I've worked with, when they give students that responsibility, like the no bells in just high school, it's amazing what students do to rise to that. Yeah, the leadership responsibility is, it's funny that I know my goals from our school. We didn't have a single person who knew our goals, and so obviously that's something that we're going to work on this year. We've talked about it with our staff, and at the last staff meeting, we asked what are our goals, and none of the staff really knew or could identify the goals specifically either, and so that was an area of concern. It's really nice when you can match the My Voice survey also with the SAS or those other surveys that are staffed.
And that's what the girls said too, is that we don't really know or feel that the school is actually working on things that we would like to see change. So it's just an overall consensus that nobody really knows the goal that the school has. So as long as that gets turned into something that's actually like determined, then it'll benefit.
And we're really working on this. This is one that's currently right now is our computers are essentially just locked down. We have lots of computers in our school for a small school, but they're useless in some cases because you can't get on the Wi-Fi. There's some guest Wi-Fi, so on. I thought it was interesting. One of the students said that it's like taking away the scissors. You know, we have scissors in every classroom, and they're dangerous. People can be killed with scissors, yet we don't take away the scissors. We teach kids on how to use it correctly. Well, the same with the internet. Sure, the internet has its place, but instead of taking away the internet or access to the world through communication, why not teach it correctly? And the same goes with cell phones. Do you have anything else on that? The last of the aspirations, confidence to take action, is a very important one, because we hopefully want to have students who believe in themselves or encourage them to dream about their future while being motivated to set goals in the present. The condition is what we strive for as educators, and all the conditions must be established and supported students' inspiration. Confidence to take action is characterized by a positive and healthy outlook on life and by looking inward rather than outward for approval. We can build our students' confidence to take action by providing the support, celebrating our diversity, and encouraging it. Teachers believe in me and expect me to be useful. That's one that we've really focused on. See the arrow? And we've gone from 2/3 of our students to most of our students having that one student that, or the students have that teacher that they believes in. Mickey Corso once said that if a student has a teacher who believes in, they're like 87% more likely to be successful. And so we took those numbers, and I'm not sure if that's the exact number, but we took that number and we ran with it as a staff. We figured if we could make those connections and build those relationships with kids, then we could improve our school climate. You know, that's one that we're really working hard.
And the fact of I believe I can be successful and teachers believe in me and expect me to be successful questions, those are directly correlated with each other. And since our school is very successful in all aspects, those both really reflect how everyone feels about our school. We are all successful and we know it. Proud of it.
The next slide is very interesting. I just pulled one of them off, and we just sorted our data out by belonging. We had 8 students on the current out of 88 that took the survey in our high school that did not belong to any. And as you can see in the red, those 8 students have a far bleaker outlook of life at our school than the rest of the student body. whereas 11% feel comfortable asking a question in class, as you can see, over 70% or 80, 90% of the rest of the student body have no problem asking questions. We know that if we can improve one area of our school, it's the sense of belonging. If we can get kids to belong, it's going to improve our school climate. One of the things I put up the data this year is, like I said, we had 8 students. In 2011, we had 18 students of our 90 that did not belong. We worked hard on trying to get every kid to belong to something. In 2012, we had 9. In 2013, we had 3. And you'll notice that 2013 numbers in areas of having, like in school and academic achievement, were actually higher than this. It's a direct correlation between belonging, I believe, and student success. You guys have any? We'll get through here so we get some questions. What we did is we took the My Voice survey, and then we came up with 8 different ways that we felt that we could make a difference based off of what the students said. And these 8, the next 8 slides that we're going to talk about, are what we discussed at our staff meeting in order to improve academic or involvement. And so the first one was just simply to treat all students as individuals. Recognize that we have students with unique strengths or unique abilities, and incorporate, this is the important part, incorporate the specific student's interest into lessons and conversations to further engage students in school. We talked about students' differences, locally, nationally, internationally, and those things. But we really tried to have their students' interest and incorporate that into our examples. Show students you respect them. This one was the one that we worked on for 3 years, and we maybe need to get back to, was to model the respect. We understand from our focus groups that students, if you show students respect, and they'll show you respect. And the prime case was we had a teacher who had issues with respect in the classroom. And then he showed up on a Saturday morning, loser-out game in Hamilton, Montana, which is a long way from Belt, for a state girls basketball tournament. And almost overnight, the students' respect with that teacher went up. And in part because he showed that he was interested in what they were doing, and so they showed that they were interested in what he was doing. And we've talked about to our new teachers come on board that make sure that you support the students and what they're doing. It doesn't mean you have to go to every basketball game, but it does mean that you should attend a few, and that you should support the students in what they're doing, and they'll show an interest in what you're doing. And the other thing on the respect, too, is we had each of the teachers, because one of our universals to respect, or is respect, just like every other school. And so we had the students define respect in each of the classes. And because the definition of respect in my classroom would be different than, say, a science classroom. And then the students' definition of respect is completely different than mine. And so just asking the students, what is respect? We've done that every year now for the last 3 years, to ask the students what their definition of respect is. The next one is to acknowledge effort and perseverance. Our history teacher, government teacher, is a prime example of this. If you show that you're putting forth effort, I think it'd almost be impossible to flunk his class. He would go above and beyond to make sure that a student passes the class if they show a desire to listen to say. And he talks about that at our monthly. He creates opportunities for to assess themselves in areas of effort and perseverance, and it's really paid dividends in his class. He encouraged students to follow their passion. This is what we tried to do with that fun and excitement, and then also the curiosity. We understand that most students have interest or hooks that engage them in the class. And we tried to explore the connection between the passion and interest and what they're learning altogether. We took time to understand what the students find as boring and what they find interesting to learn, and ideally try to shape your classes to what's interesting. And the prime example of this is our English teacher. If you teach Shakespeare, it's not that we don't want people to teach Shakespeare. It's you might have to change how you teach Shakespeare for students to actually, and he does a fabulous job. The next one is to invite students to ask questions and wonder about answers. We make our classrooms all questions welcome zone. There's lots of different ways you can promote that by having poll everywhere on your smart board to have students text in questions, just to promote the inquiry and questioning. And we've done this around our Common Core studies also. And it's also one of the things that we do with grade 8 as part of our MBI. We try to push students to seek answers and develop the original solutions, and then arouse your further curiosity by introducing a novelty or surprise, complexity, uncertainty, contradictions in the lesson. Just challenge students to think about solutions to complex issues. We try to do through our groups. For instance, Kieran in the community service, and so one of the challenges was to promote a wellness. She thousands of dollars in grants for a community wellness. That was a problem that presented. Allow students to make meaningful decisions. This one is a work in progress. It's difficult. You can give students voice in your individual classes, but as a school as a whole or community, it's one that we're constantly working on. And decisions in what courses to take, choices and assignments, those individual classrooms to do. But as we found out, trying to make overall change school-wide is more difficult. But that's something that we're actually working on. Give the students a voice at the table. 4 years ago, we started having representatives of our board meetings, and they actually sit up with the school board and actually give a similar talk as school board members. We'll hustle through this. This is, in recap, what we've done as FELT is we've taken the My Voice, what the students said in their focus groups, and we've tried to incorporate that into our school lives. We meet once a month with our MBI group and then also with our staff twice a month, and we discuss different things that the students have said in their focus groups in different areas of focus, like, for instance, the fun and excitement or spirit of adventure were this last year. Those areas that we focused on in conjunction with our MBI training has really made a huge difference in school, as you can see by our numbers. Okay, at this time, I know we only have like 10 minutes left or 15 minutes left, so we want to open it up to questions. So if anyone has any questions for either Kieran, myself, or Hunter, feel free.
Hi, Keith. This is Steve York.
Well,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Actually, I have just a couple comments. For those who don't know me, I'm Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services at OPI, and I've been involved in many different forms with My Voice since about 2004. I really believe in it. I want to congratulate you and your students for an outstanding presentation, number one. What I want to point out is this is all about opening a dialogue with kids. It's seeing students as partners, and I think that's happening at Belt schools. If you notice, the heaviest effort that the Belt put into areas really moves the needle significantly upward. So you need to take what's important to you and concentrate on it. It'd be great to reach 100%, but it's doubtful you're going to do that. And it's not important. What is important is the effort and the opportunity to involve students in the educational process. So great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. We appreciate that. Yeah, the My Voice survey and the focus groups primarily have made a huge difference in our school, and will continue to do so. It's a work in progress. Like you said, ideally we'd like to be at 100%. and that's our goal. That's, of course, everybody. Any other questions?
Yeah, Keith, we have one here from Hellgate High School. What have you found to be effective in getting staff to buy into the process of listening and taking action relative to student voice?
That's an interesting question. What we did a couple years ago, too, is even with the Husky Time lessons, we have lessons every Monday and Tuesday, set aside 15 minutes for time for us to do our MBI lessons, is we had a hard time with some of the teachers actually doing the lessons, and so we actually had the students start writing the lesson. And then we had the students actually present the lesson. It's really difficult to have students in your class and them to ask, why aren't we doing the lesson, Mr. Hoyer and I. It's hard to tell them it's not a relevant lesson or something when they're involved in it, when they're a stakeholder. So bringing students on board, letting them have a voice, something like writing a lesson, I think is crucial to bringing everybody on board, especially staff. It's really hard to look at a student and tell them no.
And I'd say Keith and Kieran and Hunter, this was just such a wonderful presentation, and we so appreciate, Kieran and Hunter, your voice that you bring here. I'm wondering if the two of you could talk about what you feel like adults, what you would like adults to know, and those of us that are on this webinar and those that will listen to the recording, what you feel like we should know about listening to the voice of the young person and what that means to be partners in schools and your work.
I think that if teachers are going to take the time to listen and care about what students' opinions are, and that just opens up the door for the student to actually feel comfortable in sharing their opinions, because of course not everyone's going to agree. But so if there's like that window of opportunity to be able to actually go and say that there's a problem with something, that really helps. I know that we have Senate meetings in our school, and we have like head administration sitting there with us, and we're able to communicate with them on the same level and not feel like we're too inferior and we actually do have a voice. That really helps, because then they know directly what problems we have. A voice.
Yeah, I'd like to say that I think if students were given a little bit more responsibility in some areas, that changes would be pretty dramatic. I think that if the seniors and freshmen and juniors, sophomores were all working together actually in some areas, like a mentoring program of some sort, and let them work in some areas, they could all strive, honestly, a little bit better. It's hard after a while for some students to listen to a teacher for so long. Now, if they listen to some of their friends, and change, I've noticed with some of mine. Yeah, I think it's really helpful in the student habit.
Could you two describe what it means to be partners with teachers and with administrators and maybe school board in that process, and kind of what that looks like from your perspective?
I'd say that from that perspective, we're the teachers and students should be pretty close, and that every idea that they have, they should honestly take the time to think about and make sure that it's the right one. And I guess the higher you go up, like to the principal and the board and stuff like that, I guess I think it should be a pretty close connection. That way everybody's on the same level and they understand exactly what's going on and what would work the best for the students and the school possibly.
Yeah, I agree. The connection that the students and teachers have, that is just the biggest bond for everything. That's what opens everything up and makes students feel comfortable. So as long as there is a connection somewhere higher up in the line with the student body, then it makes everything a lot easier to just as building relationships go on. It just makes everything easier.
And I think, too, if teachers show that they have an interest in what students are doing, students will show an interest in what they're doing. And we've found that. It's a two-way street. It needs to be a two-way street. With
Mm-hmm. could you give maybe one or two examples of how students are maybe partners or what they might be doing, either with, I know you gave a couple examples like with the classes, but on other ways that they might be making decisions that is a shift?
One that we know of is actually during homecoming. Is the student senate's the one that basically designs the whole week of the activities that they do and everything like that. We actually do like a dodgeball tournament and a race and stuff like that, and we do float buildings and stuff like that. And we basically talk with the teachers and that, and we make a whole system work out through an entire week, and the students are the ones that build that, and the relationship there is very good because we're making the activities ourselves, the responsibility is on us, and that is a very fun time for us.
And we have the trust from the administration to make something successful and fun instead of being a train wreck or something like that. We actually have the trust from them to put something together.
We have a question here, Joanne. You had asked about the heroes and if you'd be willing to share your training and activities on Hero to Me. And I'm not sure if you're looking for materials, but maybe you could talk a little bit about your training and activities on the Heroes on Me. Heroes to Me.
I do think it's posted on the MBI website. If not, I can give it to you. We did it years ago. We wanted everyone in our school to have a hero. And so it was a circle exercise. And so you listed out those qualities that were that you found most appealing in a person in your inner circle, then all the way out to your outer circle. And so we found that we tried to identify people that fit the most qualities of those that we wrote down in that inner circle, and that was probably the person that we considered our hero. Then we tried to encourage the kids to see if they had someone other than like a parent, aunt, uncle, or something like that in our school district, so somebody in our school district that also met those criteria, and that would be their hero or someone they had a relationship with. Our goal is to have every kid have someone in the but I have a lesson we can.
Hi, this is
Okay. Joanne, we can get that too.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Hi, this is Joanne. Can you hear me? Okay,
Yes.
Great. I didn't know.
Hi, Joanne.
I'm just very interested in that because I think that, you know, a strategy like that is transferable in so many places, you know, especially since we have a community of practice that crosses many states. This is something that we could describe to people, and so many schools could pick this up, supported by their state community of practice, which crosses, you know, all those people that have influence and authority, just like you have there in Montana. But it's a wonderful example, I think, for crossing, you know, the goals of the state, the school district, the school, and the teachers and the students. I mean, you've really made some wonderful connections, and you've done it in a way that brings things together instead of, you know, doing your surveys, and that's something by itself, and then you have your Montana Behavior Initiative, and that's something by itself. You've really integrated these things in such a way that it's a great example for other states, and as well as other states, other school districts, other teachers, other youth can see themselves in this work, and they're going to be able to pick it up. That's why I was so interested in whether you could share some of that, because I can see really using the community structure to support that kind of activity that would be so useful so many places. And thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. And the way we view it, too, is MBI as an umbrella, and then this is one component of the umbrella, just like our habits program would be, or Oveus bullying, or any of those are components. I think one of the reasons, though, it does work is that we do have those universals in place. Once
Absolutely.
we have those in place, then that helps everything else fall into place.
You know, I was just going to say one more thing. I know that we have a school, and some of the people that come to the community meetings know this, but so much of the story of you changing the culture of your school is the very kind of interaction we heard from the school in North Hawaii. And it'd be great to get these two groups of students together and think about how the student voice is changing the culture of both of those schools. It'd be great.
I agree. As I found by my travels throughout the country too, is the student voice is a component that sometimes is missing, but needs to be explored. I think it's one of those difference makers in all schools. In Montana, and Susan Bailey Anderson has done a wonderful job of incorporating that student voice into MBI, and that's made a difference in our schools.
Absolutely. That's great.
Any other questions?
Well, we have about 3 minutes left. If anybody has one last question. There is a very brief survey. I said brief question, I apologize. Brief survey on there. If you would all be willing to take just about a minute or two to fill that out, and we do use that to guide our continued presentations. And really appreciate your time. And Keith and Kieran and Hunter, thank you for your inspiration and your ongoing work to, I think, inspire all of us to work and think a little bit differently about what we're doing.
Well, thank you very much for the invitation. We appreciate it.